So to get into cloud hands, we have to first start a single whip. Single whip can be best taught this way, okay? As if you've never learned before. You put 2 feet on 2 different lines on that block. You drag the right foot back and you 45-degree it. And you find that comfortable stance, and the left foot is forward, the left hand is forward, wearing your mittens, sort of in line with your toe. It could be a little bit further, but not drastically forward, because you saw right away that you want to maintain your Tai Chi posture. The right hand is not towards us, not directly across from us, but slightly back, slightly higher, in a hook. So the hook is, the thumb is surrounded by the 4 fingers. This is single whip. And you don't want to crunch it in, you want to kind of extend. You kind of want to extend in this format. You kind of want to extend, okay? You don't want to crunch this way, you want to extend to maintain proper alignment and strong alignment, good balance, all right? So I'm going to be like you, single whip. Sit back, sit down, pivot the left foot, parameter 1 cloud hand. Is that right? That's how you get into cloud hands. And then I need to reposition you again, okay? So let's just practice one more time. Single whip, sit back, sit down, pivot the left foot, left hand goes cup, 3 o'clock, you're in cloud hands, okay? So let's do it the other way now. Left foot on the line, right foot on the other side, 45 the right, single whip. This is the way you would do it normally with doing Yang 24. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock cup, 3 o'clock cloud hands. Okay, one more time. Single whip. Twist, 12 o'clock. Twist, 3 o'clock. All right, this time you say, that's not so bad. I can see a clock in front of me, and I know what she means by cup. This time, use your hips and waist to get to where you want to be, which is at 3 o'clock. Single whip. Sit back. Twist, 12. Twist, turn your hips and waist, 3. 12, cup and stem, stem and cup. Out to the 9. Flip the hands, close the feet. Put emphasis on your hips. 1, 2, 3. 2 things happen. Hips and waist are moving you, not your hands. Close, flip. 12. 1, 2, 3. Flip, open. Hips and waist, are they working? 9, close. 12, stem cup. Here's that hook coming through at 3. Here's that spiral coming across your face in a T stance. Step out, turn the palm, second single whip. Okay. Do you know what you're doing? Yeah, I saw a lot of yeses and smiles. So something's either going correctly or you're having fun, which is very good. Okay, can't ask for more. All right, your turn to watch. Your turn to do. Good. So we're going to layer it with the previous movement, which is grasping of the bird's tail. Okay, so when we grasp the bird's tail, we are on a T, out and to the side, ward off. Turn hips and waist, reposition hands. Hands go for the ride. How? Sit down, sit back, use your hips and waist to turn. Contact, using your hips and waist to turn. Push out the energy. Separate the hands, separate the energy. Roll back, sit down. Can come up, then lunge forward together. Other side, sit back, sit down, pivot. T, center with a ball, bring it in. L, round the crotch, forearm. Turn hips and waist, reposition. Grasp the bird's tail, sit down. Turn at the hips and waist to look back. Contact, turn again at the hips and waist. Center, push out, roll back. Sit down. Come up, lunge forward. Here we go, as if you didn't have any instructions. Sit down, sit back, pivot, 12 o'clock, stem cup. Hips and waist get you out to the 9. Stem cup. You're going to form a hook, balance with the T, out on an L, across the face, single whip. Sit back, sit down, pivot. 3 o'clock. Okay? So let's shorten it up. So to get into single whip, to get into cloud hands, we have to do 1 grasping and then 2 grasping. So let's take it from the second final grasping of the bird's tail. Right foot on a T, right hand on the bottom, bottom hand advances, root it down. Out on an L, push your opponent away. Turn hips and waist, reposition hands. Hands go for the ride as you sit down. Turn at your hips and waist. Contact, turn at the hips and waist. Push out the energy, separate them. Roll back, sit down. Spiral up. Lunge forward together. Slowly. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. Right hand at 12. Left heel pivots out to 9. 2 things happen. Flip, close. Is that right? Open. 1 rotation. Ah. Did I do something wrong, yeah? I didn't do the single whip. Good, good. That was purposely planned so you would catch me. All right. So you caught me. So I kind of melded what the 10 form and the 24 and put emphasis on the 10, forgot about the single whip. So here we go. Do it correctly. T stance, L stance, ward off. Turn hips and waist, grasp the bird's tail, look back. Contact, turn, push, separate, roll back. Up, forward, here we go. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, cup, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, hook, T, across the face, L, turn the wrist, single whip. 1 more time, getting good. T, right hand on the bottom, out, L, ward off, turn, grasp the bird's tail. Make your hips work for you. Sink down, come up. Twist, 12, 9, 12. Shift weight, hook, T, out, L, turn, out. Let's go. Two, rotation. Third rotation, final. T with your foot, 3 hook across out, L, single whip. Half step, sit back. Up, down, okay, all right. So we want to isolate, we want to make sure we know those movements first before we move on. A lot of times we feel like, oh, we need to accomplish things in our 10-week session, and so we're kind of forging ahead without really being clear. So I think the drill was good. So we're going to go back to the drill. Okay? T stance, right foot, right hand. Here we go. Ward off. Make your body work for you. Hands go for the ride. Good time to practice that. Twelve, 9, 12, 3, T, L. One more time, T, ward off. Sit back, twist, 12. Use your hips and waist, 9, 12. Shift your weight, hook, T, out, L. Okay, get good. So you're going to show me this later. Okay, one more time to do it really good. Then the next time you're on your own and then I watch. So here's how you can prep yourself. You go through the motion, listening to the voice, following, watching if you need to, so that you can internalize those movements and probably fixating in your mind so that you can tell yourself what those key words are, okay? That's one of the ways one of your options. T stance, L stance, O stance. Turn, reposition, sit down. Sit back, turn your hips and waist. Contact, turn at hips and waist. Center push out. Roll back, sit down. Come up, lunge forward. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, stem and cup. Pivot out, 9 o'clock. 2 things happen. Oops. Yep. 12, stem cup. 3 o'clock, hook, T, across face, out, L, single whip. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock. Okay? So this next experience is just to show that you understand, to see where I'm at in teaching. You don't have to wait for anybody. You're on your own at your own rhythm. And it's not a race to see who gets there first or ends first, okay? I'll start you all. You're on a T stance, root it down because you want that energy. Right hand on the bottom, right foot on the stem of the T. Here we go. Grasp the bird's tail. Okay, very good. Okay, so some of you said, yeah, she said very good, but she doesn't mean me. And perhaps. But you know what? That's your start. So you say, well, I really didn't know, but I followed someone in front of me. That's fine. That's a way of learning. But what are you going to do? You're going to stay in that state? No. It's sort of an uneasy state. So you're going to go home, or you're going to drill right now and see if you can cinch it down. That's part of learning, okay? All right. T stance. Out, L, ward off. Turn hips and waist, reposition. Grasp the bird's tail, leave your feet flat. Contact turn, push. Now elevate, sit down, up and out. Twist, 12 o'clock. 9, 2 things happen, 12, hook, 3, out, L, single whip. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Okay, time for you to watch. Okay, even for grasping of the bird's tail, okay? Pick up something new. Watch what my waist is doing and watch what my hands are doing. So everybody's eager to learn correctly. So you're going to have to do what you're doing, which is very diligent, watching carefully, listening, trying, and then reinforcing that by prepping yourselves throughout that week to come back, look at the lesson, and do a good job. Because we know that we're getting to the climax of the musical piece or musical dance. We're right about to the top, coming into Serpent in the Grass. So you want to make everything fit together, puzzle pieces cinching down, not just kind of in the area, right? You want to get it up to par. You want to get that standard up, coming up to Serpent, and then relaxing and coming down home. All right. Let me just do it and pretend that you're not here, okay? Because that's the problem. You know, you have to be sure that I say and do what is right. So it was what I just said. So you don't close. Okay, one more time. And then you get to do it without me. At your own pace, go. Okay, good. So that's your platform. That's what you work for, okay? Work on. Start from there. It's not so hard, is it? You just make your body move and it's logical. What is it doing? Shifting of weight, using your hips and waist, centering, rooting down, and lifting, and alternating, right? It's harder if you have to think about, oh, my hands do something, oh, my feet do something. Leave your hands alone. Let them go for the ride. But just make sure that your hips and waist are moving and that you're rooted down so you can store that energy so that you can expend it. If you have no energy to generate, it's difficult. If you have no hips and waist, nothing's going to move. You're going to force the movements. Then you're going to be complicated. Something's frozen, so I have to compensate and figure out what my hands are going to do. So to me, it's easier if you just use your principles of rooting down, using your hips and waist to get you where you want to, using the upper body and the hands as a way of enhancing the foundations in which you lay. Okay, I know it's not easy, and I'm trying to make it easy for you. So, take into consideration that yes, it is difficult, and I have a generous amount of room and space in which to accept people who are learning. That's the way we learn. We're not all superstars, and we never will be, but we can surely try, okay?
I've been watching you all diligently trying to learn it, and I'm going to just remind you what Lucille just told you about. That is, remember, right now, you just are largely trying to know where the hands are going and which direction am I turning. But to reiterate, what we're trying to do is use the energy in your core to drive it, whether it's coming out or going back in. When we do the cloud hands, we're coming here, and you have to turn your waist when you're finished. Okay? Turn your waist. That's where the power comes in. Otherwise, what happens? You're just floating. And it feels like cloud hands when you do that, but we're trying to make you build your body up. Yeah, I watch some people, not here, but you watch some of the wushu guys do it, and cloud hands is not this nice, even this, when I'm moving everything I should be moving. They're down this way, and then they come up. And then this way again, you see? But we're just doing this, turning the hips, and what we're trying to do is use the hips. The tremendous amount of force that comes out of just doing this. Yeah? Just doing that, okay? Another one is in grasping the bird's tail, after we've done this, not only sit back, but bring the hips down, like you're sitting down, and the back stays straight. Otherwise, what happens, I've seen a few who do this, and they're trying to get back this way as if they are moving their energy, but they're out of posture, and that's what you don't want, right? You want to be able to sit down, bend at the hip, you see? Bend at the hip, bend at the knee. The more joints you use when you're going back and forth, that's one of the ideas of Tai Chi. You use all of your joints, it smooths your movements, it may even help you to get from one place to the other quicker, rather than sort of walking like this. You use everything, you know? You just sort of move along and use your joints. So, good, you're learning the hands, but don't forget the basics that we keep teaching you. Throughout all of your movements, you are using your core, you're trying to use all of your joints and turn them and coordinate them with your hand movements.
job.